Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to the shop. This is our 2013 Mitsubishi Fuso FG that I'm slowly turning into an Overland camper. Now it's much warmer on the inside, so let's do the rest of the video in here. In the last video, I was working on using adhesives to glue the upper brackets for the bed lift cylinders to the wall. Now, a lot of folks in recent videos have expressed some valid concerns about synchronizing 4 air cylinders for a bed lift. And I'm listening. You behave. In all seriousness, I do think I have a solution, but the only way to find out if it works is by trying it. But in order to try it, I need to finish building it, and that is how I ended up with these. But let me go back to the start and show you how I created them starting in SketchUp.
I'm going to start with the roller, and this is super easy to do in SketchUp. We're going to draw a circle, and I'm just going to click the screen and then align it with the green axis. Any of the axes are fine. And I can put in 11 millimeters, and that's going to give me a 22 millimeter circle. Now I'm going to find the center again, which can sometimes be a little difficult in SketchUp, but it knows where the center is, and if you actually get over the center, it'll pick it up. And now we're going to draw a 22 millimeter circle to give us an outside diameter of 44. Next, I'm going to stretch this up to give us a cylinder, and we're going to go to a height of 26. And now we can see this basically looks like a cylinder. And you'll notice this inner circle is gray, it's the wrong face, so we reverse faces so that it realizes that it's the outside, not the inside. Now we're going to push it in 7.5 millimeters. Rotate over to the top, and we're going to close this top surface off again. To do that, we just draw a line across the inner circle, and then we're going to erase the line, and the surface will stay there. Now we can push this surface down 7.5 millimeters.
And we can ignore what I did next.
I had to fix this later. What I should have done here is delete this surface, as I did, and then delete that surface. But what I ended up doing was reversing the surface and then redrawing the upper surface. And I'll explain why this isn't what I needed to do later on when I discovered it for myself. Next, we need to put the hole all the way through the center for the bolt or axle to pass through. So I'm going to draw a line from the outside edge to find my center. It doesn't really matter where you start as long as it lines up with the center. That just gives us the center point to put our circle on. Now we're going to pick circle, follow that line, and enter the diameter, enter the radius of 4.1 millimeters. That's going to give just enough clearance for an 8 millimeter shaft. Going to erase the line and then push this center circle all the way through to the other side. And just like that, we have a roller that looks like a skateboard wheel, and it's designed to fit a 608 bearing in each side, just like a skateboard wheel.
With one key difference. It's exactly the size that I need.
With the model imported into our slicer, we can play with the number of walls and the amount of infill that we use, and that's what's going to impact the strength that this roller has once it's printed. To start with, I'll slice it with the current settings of 6 walls and 30% infill, and we can see it's going to take about 50 minutes, use about 10.5 meters, and weigh about 28 grams. Now that we have a ballpark of what it would take for a normal print, I'm going to change the number of walls to 99. And that basically makes this a solid part with no infill. By doing this, I know that there's no way that any of the load that I put on this can crush any void spaces, because there are none. You can see it only takes a couple minutes more and a little bit more filament. It weighs about 6 or 7 grams more. So it's not really a big change to how hard it is to print, and here's where I discovered my problem.
Another reason to check the slicer output layer by layer before you print it, because it can help you find problems with your model.
So let's fix that mistake I was talking about earlier. I'm going to delete the top, and inside we're going to see we have a double wall. That needs to be deleted, and now everything inside here is one space. Having a wall inside a solid object confuses slicers. Now all I need to do is recreate the top surface by drawing 2 lines across the top. which clearly I didn't do. Let's try that again. And now I can just delete those two lines and the top surface will remain. From the outside, looks exactly the same as the last one, but a little bit different on the inside. So let's go back to the slicer and check to make sure that this time when we slice it, everything is still there. So far, looking good. I'm going to play with a couple different settings here just to see what things look like. In the end, I'm going to print it solid. Now that I've got my settings sorted out, I need to add more. I want 4 of these, so I'm going to use the command called clone. And just like that, we have 4 of them. Now I can see the total time and the total filament that are going to be needed to print these 4 parts. Now before I hit print, there's one more thing that I'm going to do, and that is turn on support. You can, but it's much better if you don't try to print over top of thin air. And lastly, I'm going to turn on brim. Normally on this size of a part with this much contact with the build plate, I wouldn't, but because I'm printing these solid, they will have a lot of heat in them, and hopefully this will stop them from warping. One last time, clicking on slice loads up what it's going to look like. We can see our final time, filament use, and we can see the brim and the support material.
The next step is to turn the concept into reality. So we're going to send it from the slicer over to the 3D printer and print these out of PETG plastic.
I'll start by turning the light on so we can see inside the printer, and then when I hit print, I always do a heated bed level, and we'll record a time lapse so you can see the results. Here we go.
And after a couple of hours,
The last step, we remove the build plate, flex it to pop the parts off, and then remove the remaining support material.
wait. Let's see that again.
Yep, with the right settings, this is how easily and cleanly the support material comes out.
Now let's see how the 608 bearings fit. Perfectly, of course. And now that we've got the rollers sorted out, let's draw up the clevises that are going to hold them.
What we're aiming for is the one on the right. I'm going to draw it so you can see. A 37mm line going one way, with a 43mm line going the next way, and then we return back 37mm and 43 to close off the base square. And just like the roller wheel, we'll pull it up by 9mm. Next, I'm going to draw a line 5mm in, and then a line across from one side to the other. And I'll repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Next, I'll stretch both of these up by 50mm. Once you start pulling like this, all you do is type in the dimension you want, so here I'm just typing 50mm and hitting enter. This, as designed, is not going to be very strong. We want to put a radius in the corners. To do this, I'm going to draw a line 4mm in from the edge and 4mm up. Then I'll repeat the same thing in the other corner. With those drawn, I'll use these as the center point for a 4mm diameter circle. If SketchUp doesn't pick the right axis, just use the left, right, and up, down keys to shift which axis you're drawing on. Now I can delete most of the circle and the two positioning lines because all we really want is the bottom quarter of the circle. Once again, SketchUp has flipped the surface, so we go in and reverse faces. Now that we have the radius drawn, we can extrude it from one end to the other. And with the fillets in place, now we can go back and delete the lines that we don't need. This shape will be much stronger than the square corners. Now I need to put a 10mm hole in the center of the base for the end of the pneumatic cylinder. Starting at the center point of the center line and drawing it out 5mm will give us a 10mm diameter circle. Now we can erase the guidelines and again use extrude to push the hole through the part. Next up, I want to put the radius on the top. To do this, I'm going to draw a line from the center down 21.5mm. This will act as a center point for our circle, but first, before we click, we want to increase the number of sides to say 128. This will make it more of a circle and less of an octagon. I'm also going to draw a second circle, which will be the hole for the bolt to pass through. This one with a radius of 4.1, which will give us a diameter of 8.2. Now I can delete the excess lines. Now I'm going to select the circle and the 2 quarters of a circle and transfer them over to the other side of the bracket. And lastly, use the push-pull command to extrude the edges and circle through the part. Now sometimes SketchUp gets a little confused and doesn't realize that an object is on a surface. So here, it doesn't recognize that our circle has divided this face into 2 parts. Here we simply select the circle and the surface. With them selected, right-click, bring up the menu, and select Intersect Faces with Selection. Now we can select the center circle in order to extrude it through the part. Now that it's finished, let's give it a print.
Now after printing the first prototype, I realized a couple of things. I wanted to get the hole a little bit lower. I didn't really like this radius. And I wanted to have a little bit of a lip above the roller to help keep the strap on the roller. I also realized that with the length of bolt that I had ordered for this, I hadn't accounted for the nut, but that made me think. If I actually made the part with threads in one side, I could eliminate the nut. That would actually allow me to make each wall thicker and stronger. And if you're wondering about me making these out of 3D printed parts, don't worry, I've done some math and it should work. I'm kidding, of course. ChatGPT's done a whole bunch of math and I'm building it way stronger than what ChatGPT said. Now, while drawing threads in SketchUp is, well, possible, I decided that even though I have very limited experience, as in this is like the 7th time I've used it, this would end up being much easier
in Fusion 360. As I said, I am by no means an expert, so I've sped this up dramatically. That said, I think it is worth seeing how different Fusion 360 works, and it definitely has some advantages, even if the way that I try to do things doesn't always work. One of the problems of being so used to doing things in SketchUp. Once I have modeled the rough block shape, the next thing I need to do is hollow out the center. After pushing a rectangle through the center to create the clevis, it's very easy to add a radius to the lower and upper corners to get the overall shape that I'm looking for. Now it's time to add the threaded hole, and this is where Fusion has a huge advantage. You just specify the hole size and thread, and it does all the work. So here I'm adding an M8 by 1.25 thread. Now I simply need to repeat a regular hole on the opposite side that is 8.1 millimeters in diameter to allow clearance for the threads. And somehow, I even screwed that up. But once I sorted that out, we printed version 3, solid plastic, threaded and ready to go. Here's why it's important to check the sliced weight and your remaining filament before printing. That is accuracy, or dumb luck. With these parts done, there's one more part that I need to make out in the shop. By trimming the leftover 1/8 inch aluminum from the upper cylinder brackets, I'm making a base support for the printed assemblies. With some center drilled holes, these will go on the threaded rod below the printed part to help distribute the load.
So now that I finally have all of the pieces made, we can start putting the assembly together. It's not very complicated.
With the aluminum plate first and the printed clevis second, tightening an M10 nut holds it all in place. With some washers I printed, the roller drops in place.
After a little bit of fiddling around to get the washers in the right place, we can tighten this down into the threaded half of the bracket. The nice thing about a printed hole, usually wouldn't be, but because it's a little bit out of round, it actually acts a little bit like a pinch nut. Now, this probably won't ever want to go anywhere. It doesn't really have any reason to back out, but now we have a nice roller axle on a clevis end for a lift cylinder for the bed. I've got 3 more of those to assemble, but that is as far as I'm gonna get today. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, hit the like button, and if you see it, hit the hype button. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out the links, check out the other videos on the channel, but most importantly, come back next time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.